Hello and welcome to the PIElink. For those coming here for the first time, this is, I used to say this is probably the best website in the world for ideas, information, inspiration and exploration of the idea of psychologically informed environments and how we can develop those kinds of more emotionally aware services for people with complex needs. A lot of the focus has been on homelessness because many people with complex needs do find themselves homeless, and that's one of the areas where these ideas have been picked up in particular, especially in the UK and growing now in the States. So I've been saying it's probably the best site in the world for this kind of thing, but it's a very easy claim to make because it's the only one. Or at least it's the only site which is dedicated specifically and focused particularly on exploring these ideas and where we can go with them. You find published papers, you find videos, cartoons even. So there's a huge, massive information here. Can make it a bit labyrinthine, and so if you're struggling to find what you're particularly interested in, I'm sorry, but it is an area that, an idea that's gone into so many different aspects, so many different areas and different, applies in so many different client groups even, that it is hard to capture all that in a way that's useful for everybody looking for what you're particularly looking for. Every year around this time I produce a welcome video like this for particularly for new members, and I've tried to suggest some of the areas where this idea is being applied and where we're going in future, and just about every year I've been wrong. There seems to be a particular vitality around the idea of psychologically informed environments and some of the themes that we tease out here that people have taken and run with, and people are now using these ideas and developing and adapting and customizing this overall approach in settings that I hadn't myself necessarily expected or anticipated. I've tried to respect and appreciate and make coherent that range and that flexibility, whilst keeping true to the vitalism, the dynamism, and particularly that sense of these ideas being owned by and developed by a community. And all I try and do is sum it up, express it, convey it wherever I can, give as many examples as I can. I would say I would hope this year that the possibility of webinars and forums will start to take off. I've tried them in previous years and they've not been terribly successful, so it's something I continue to want to do, because I do think this site is best, not just as a library, though I think that seems to be useful, but potentially as a place where people can meet each other and start to exchange ideas and exchange practice, because the ideas that come out of frontline practice are far more valuable. That's what I learn from, that's what I try and do. That said, there are a couple of developments this year that I think are going to be particularly worth pointing out. We have now a self-assessment process, a framework called the PIElink, a deliberately tongue-in-cheek name. We call it the PIE's Self-Assessment and Service Specification module, because it is about self-assessment rather than some kind of external accreditation, which would tend to become rather bureaucratic and take away the creativity and the excitement at the front line, which is where all the real useful learning is. I'm very keen on peer review. I don't mean to say that we shouldn't look at what we're doing from other people's eyes, but it should be from other people in the sector, fellow travellers doing the same work, rather than some authoritative body. So we have a self-assessment process. We call it self-assessment, actually it's more of a sort of change management, and it's a way of developing your service and going where you need to go using these ideas simply as your platform, as your framework. But pizzazz was just such a great name because it is all about recognising creativity, recognising dynamism and flair and the things that make people want to go into work in the morning, because you know this is actually something that's rewarding and fulfilling and has got a bit of a buzz to it, and that's what we're trying to capture here. We have now, over the last few months, we've been developing an online version of this pizzazz using software that allows different organisations, perhaps geographically spread across different parts of the country or a state, and that's called the PIEabacus. It's an abacus because it uses software that was originally developed in schools, where counting and measuring is more familiar. So that's some of the places I think we'll be going over the next year. But I am hoping that we can be putting people in touch with each other more. It's always been one of my ambitions, and we'll see whether or not we've reached the stage where that becomes more doable. So, by all means, dive in, have a browse around, see what you can find, and let's take it from there.